Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the class of International Nutrition. Today, the topic that we are going to cover today is about obesity and the metabolic syndrome in developing countries, and we are going to be focusing on South Asians. So, the contents of today's lecture include the background, what metabolic syndrome is, how can we prevent and control obesity and metabolic syndrome in South Asians, and community intervention programs for childhood obesity in India. The learning outcomes of today's lecture include to understand the causes and prevention of metabolic syndrome in the South Asians. Developing countries, particularly South Asia, are witnessing a rapid increase in the type 2 diabetes mellitus and the coronary heart disease. So, type 2 diabetes mellitus is caused due to an inability to produce insulin so glucose accumulates in the blood, and there are multiple causes of coronary heart disease. During the previous 3 decades, the prevalence of type 2 diabetes mellitus has doubled in India. Insulin resistance and clustering of other pro-atherogenic factors. Pro-atherogenic factors means that induce the atherosclerotic process, the process where fats and lipids accumulate in the arteries, making them narrow. So these all lead to the metabolic syndrome frequently seen in South Asians. These are important contributing factors to the type 2 diabetes mellitus and the coronary heart disease. There have been rapid demographic, nutritional, and economic changes in the South Asian region. Demographic changes related to the population, nutritional related to the dietary intake, and in economics lead economic changes due to increase in income and shift in the other things. The life expectancy and percentage of elderly population have increased due to improved healthcare and sanitation facilities. Most importantly, globalization of diets and consumption of non-traditional fast foods have occurred at a rapid pace in urban areas. Now more people are consuming fast food diets rather than the natural high fiber diets of the local region. Furthermore, these dietary changes are more noticeable in children. In South Asian countries, rapid increase in the Western fast food outlets, sale of aerated sweet drinks, that means the carbonated beverages, and increased consumption of fried snacks in school children are being commonly seen. In addition, South Asians are less physically active and sedentary lifestyle is increasing, particularly in children. Further, migration from villages to cities is increasing. So what's happening? There is a shift in the urban rural population. More people are consuming high caloric foods and they are less physically active. These intra-country migrants become urbanized, mechanized, so they are now living in cities, they are using more machinery, resulting in nutritional imbalance, physical inactivity, stress, and increased consumption of alcohol and tobacco. Metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is the medical term for a combination of diabetes, high blood pressure, that is hypertension, and obesity. It puts you at greater risk of getting coronary heart disease, stroke, and other conditions that affect the blood vessels. Symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Symptoms of metabolic syndrome may be diagnosed if you have three or more of the following symptoms. A waist circumference of 94 centimeter or more in European men or 90 centimeter or more in South Asian men. A waist circumference of 80 centimeter or more in the European and South Asian women. High triglyceride levels in the fat in the blood and low levels of HDL, the good cholesterol in your blood, which can lead to the atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis means accumulation of fats in the arteries, thus narrowing them and hardening them. High blood pressure that's consistently 140 by 90 mmHg or higher. High blood pressure also uh, increases the vasoconstriction. It means the arteries become hard, thus the flow of the blood is hindered. And inability to control blood sugar level, there is body develops a resistance to insulin, so insulin cannot act on the cells and the sugar cannot be metabolized. An increased risk of developing blood clots such as deep vein thrombosis. So due to increased blood clots, what happens is that blood clots then get trapped in the arteries and it can lead to myocardial infarction. A tendency to develop irritation and swelling of body tissue inflammation. Nationally representative studies regarding the prevalence of the metabolic syndrome are generally not available from any South Asian country. Recent data show that about one-third of the urban population in large cities in India has the metabolic syndrome. The interaction of various factors which could contribute to insulin resistance, diabetes, and CHD are shown in the figure. Now here you can see that how the perinatal factors, the maternal and neonatal adverse environment, and excess childhood adiposity leads to accelerated BMI changes, leading to abnormal body composition as an adult. The imbalanced nutrition, that is increased energy and fat intake and reduced fiber intake, can also lead to abnormal body composition, deposition of fat in the body. Then again, physical activity can also lead to the abnormal body composition and being pre-diabetic and cardiovascular diseases. So all of these factors are interlinked like a web of causation, leading to type 2 diabetes mellitus and coronary heart disease. Available data indicate that the prevalence of the metabolic syndrome in Asian Indians varies according to region, extent of urbanization, lifestyle patterns, and socioeconomic cultural factors. So there are numerous interlinked factors. The phenotype of obesity and body fat distribution are distinctive in South Asians and are important contributory factors in the development of insulin resistance and the metabolic syndrome. Key points have been summarized as, first of all, that average body mass index value in South Asians is lower than that seen in white Caucasians, Mexican Americans, and blacks. However, BMI in Asian Indians increases as they become affluent and urbanized. Increase in socioeconomic status and being residing in the rural area has been associated with increased BMI in Asians. South Asians have a high percentage of body fat as compared to white Caucasians and blacks, despite lower average BMI values, which is partly explained by body fluids, body build, trunk to leg length ratio, and slenderness, muscularity, adaptation to chronic calorie deprivation, and ethnicity. Higher body fat seen in South Asians than Caucasians at similar BMI was clearly demonstrable in Asian Indians based in Singapore who showed BMI to be lower than white Caucasians at any given percentage of body fat. Importantly, morbidities related to excess adiposity, diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia occur more frequently at lower BMI levels in Asians than in white Caucasians. High prevalence of abdominal obesity has been reported in South Asians by several investigators and is also seen in Asian Indians with BMI less than 25. Further, although the average waist circumference in South Asians appears to be lower, abdominal adiposity, as measured by computerized axial topography, is significantly more than the white Caucasians. So the main thing is that even when the BMI is come, abdominal obesity is high. As you all know, that truncal obesity or apple-shaped obesity is related to development of cardiovascular diseases because there is a huge fat accumulation around the central region. Based on these data, classification of obesity has been revised for Asian Indians. These cutoffs have been endorsed for South Asians in UK recently. Okay, this is the table 1 where there's a consensus guideline that the BMI cutoffs have been reduced. The normal BMI cutoff is now the lower end uh, is now 18 and the upper end is 22.9 instead of 24.9. The cutoff for overweight is 23 to 24.9 and obesity is classified as greater than 25. So the cutoff for overweight is now the cutoff for obesity. Same in the case of abdominal obesity, waist circumference cutoffs are for men is 90 and women is 80. Metabolic syndrome can be diagnosed if the waist circumference cutoffs as defined in previous column, blood glucose greater than 100 milligrams per dl, hypertension greater than 130 by 85, triglyceride level greater than 150 milligrams per dl, and HDL-C for males less than 40 milligrams and for females less than 50 milligrams per dl. So no parameter is obligatory, and if out of these 5 points a person scores three factors are present, they can be diagnosed as being having metabolic syndrome. So, moving towards the intra-abdominal adipose tissue in South Asian is comparatively more than the white Caucasians. So, this is about the deposition of adipose tissue in the truncal region. Truncal subcutaneous adipose tissue measured by subscapular and suprailiac skin folds. So now they are talking about subcutaneous adipose tissue that is just beside, underneath the skin, is also thicker in South Asians than white Caucasians in both adults and children, correlating more closely with insulin resistance than intra-abdominal adipose tissue. The fat is deposited in excess in ectopic sites, the skeletal muscles, and the liver. The latter is comparatively higher in Asian Indians as compared to white Caucasians and correlates with insulin resistance. This appears to have strong genetic influence. Finally, South Asians appear to be metabolically obese, though BMI levels may fall into the category of non-obese. This phenomena is partially explained by excess body fat, high intra-abdominal and subcutaneous fat, and ectopic fat deposition in various organs and body sites, which may contribute to insulin resistance, dyslipidemia, that is, increased lipids in the blood, and insulin resistance means that insulin cannot act on the cells, hyperglycemia, increased sugar in the blood, and excess procoagulant factors in South Asian, leading to formation of clots in the blood. Now we are going to move towards the prevention and control of obesity and the metabolic syndrome in South Asians. The prevention of these conditions requires early and aggressive management based on the following key principles. Intensive efforts should be made to make South Asians aware that they are at higher risk for development of type 2 diabetes mellitus and CHD than other ethnic groups. Preventive measures should be particularly vigorous for those with the family history of type 2 diabetes mellitus or premature coronary heart disease. Adequate nutrition during the intrauterine period should be given to prevent early life adverse events which may promote insulin resistance in adulthood. Therapeutic lifestyle changes should be encouraged from childhood, with strict advice of regular physical activity and restricted use of television and internet use. According to the recent guidelines for South Asian, children should undertake at least 60 minutes of outdoor physical activity. Screen time should be less than 2 hours a day. Healthy lifestyle should be inculcated in children through vigorous implementation of school health programs. Physicians should strictly monitor velocity of growth of children to avoid childhood obesity and catch-up obesity. Body weight and anthropometric indices for adults should be maintained within normal limits based on the recent data. According to recent consensus statement for Asian Indians, BMI should be maintained between 18 and 22.9 and waist circumference should be maintained below 90 centimeter for men and 80 centimeter for women. Overweight individuals and those with abdominal obesity should be actively managed to lose weight by lifestyle measures. Detection of one component of the metabolic syndrome should lead to search for other components and its management. So it needs to be screened extensively. In general, a total of 60 minutes of physical activity is recommended for prevention and management of obesity and the metabolic syndrome for Asian Indians according to recently approved guidelines. This includes aerobic activity, work-related activity, and muscle strengthening activity. The diet should be balanced, containing appropriate amount of carbs, that is 55 to 65% of the calories, with emphasis on complex carbohydrates, restricted total fats, and saturated fat, 7 to 10% of the total calories. Adequate monounsaturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids and fiber. Trans fatty acid containing oils and foods should be strictly avoided. Research on insulin resistance and the metabolic syndrome in South Asians should be targeted on the following. A. Prevalence of the metabolic syndrome in various South Asian countries. B. Etiological factors of insulin resistance, particularly studies on genetics and genetic environmental interaction. Associations of specific macro and micronutrients in South Asian diet with insulin resistance. The relationship with novel cardiovascular risk factors, that is high sensitivity C-reactive protein, intervention with insulin sensitizers and other drugs. Diagnostic criteria of the metabolic syndrome and morbidity correlation in children. Effective health and intervention methods of imparting lifestyle and diet-related health messages in children. So what can be done at the community level and what has been already done to reduce the childhood obesity in India? So there have been two projects. Community-based interventions are aimed at generating awareness and providing conducive environment for children to follow a healthy lifestyle, balanced diet, and increased physical activity, and promote healthy food alternatives. In India, we have initiated the comprehensive programs aiming at childhood obesity. Chetna, Hindi for the awareness. Children health education through nutrition and health awareness program. which was carried out in New Delhi. MURG, Hindi for the Path, Medical Education for Children, Adolescents for Realistic Prevention of Obesity and Diabetes and for Healthy Aging, carried out in 15 cities of North India, covering nearly 700,000 children. Under these programs, children are given nutritional and physical activity education with the help of lectures, leaflets, debates, and skits. These comprehensive programs, initiated on a large scale for the first time in South Asia, aimed to impart education regarding healthy lifestyle not only to children but also to teachers and parents. The MURG program is the first large-scale community intervention project in South Asia which focuses 100% on primary prevention of not only diabetes but on non-communicable diseases in general. Now we are going to have a look at a few research papers, a few very recent research papers published in 2020 regarding metabolic syndrome. The first research paper that we're going to see is about association of lifestyle and physical activity with the components of metabolic syndrome. This is a study of bank employees in Lahore and Pakistan. So bank employees have a very sedentary lifestyle and a very high consumption of street food. Metabolic syndrome leads to millions of preventable cases and deaths worldwide. Present study reveals the components of metabolic syndrome among the bank employees in Lahore area of Pakistan. Total 530 male individuals were recruited in the study. Associations of physical activity and sedentary behaviors with the tendencies of metabolic syndrome were evaluated. The experimental and laboratory values for BMI, total cholesterol, total triglycerides, high-density lipoproteins, low-density lipoproteins, and fasting blood glucose were used to demonstrate the incidence of metabolic syndrome. Overall, 39% of employees and 22% of randomly selected control individuals have metabolic syndrome. Among the bank employees, the prevalence of obesity was 67 and in general it was 57. The mean values of body mass index of bank employees and control population was 24 and 20 respectively. So you can see from the given results that obesity, mean body mass index, and metabolic syndrome symptoms were higher among bank employees rather than the normal population. Analysis of the components of metabolic syndrome demonstrate an abnormal level of low density lipoproteins, 24 and 17.5% total cholesterol, 15% and 7.8 triglycerides 17.35 and 8.8, fasting blood glucose 24 and 16.5, and among bank employees and general population. So again, from these results, you can see that the LDLs and the total cholesterol were higher. The triglycerides were also higher, and the fasting blood glucose level was also higher among the bank employees than the general population. Our studies have revealed that the high intake and less caloric burning due to inactive lifestyle has placed the bank employees at higher risk for metabolic syndrome, leading to cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, atherosclerosis, and hypertension. The next research paper deals with the dietary patterns, exercise, and the metabolic syndrome among young people in urban Pakistan, Lahore. The increasing urbanization, mechanization, and rural to urban migration has led to deranged sleeping patterns, surplus energy intake, and sedentary lifestyle in South Asian young people. This shift poses an dangerous health risk for the development of metabolic syndrome. Early detection is needed because in the South Asian population, this syndrome carries an increased risk of comorbidities compared to people without the syndrome. This study was designed to elucidate the prevalence of METs and its risk factors in young people in urban areas of Pakistan. A cross-sectional study was conducted in 4 undergraduate institutions in Lahore. 509 young people participated and each provided their informed consent for the collection of data on their demographic, physical, and biochemical characteristics, along with information on their dietary, sleep, and physical activity habits. Most participants reported consuming greater than recommended amounts of protein and smaller than recommended amounts of vegetables and fruits. The International Diabetes Federation criteria for METs were fulfilled by 6% of the students. Hypertension was 67%, hypo-HDL levels were prevalent in 64%, and were the most common risk factors present in the young adults. More than 50% of the respondents slept fewer hours per day than recommended, and 33% had a sedentary lifestyle. Men participants with a family history of metabolic illness and those with low physical activity levels had higher odds of a positive result on screening for METs. So it is concluded from this research paper that the early detection of METs and early identification of probable the risk factors may make beneficial contributions to both public health and clinical interventions directed at high-risk individuals. Establishing and using cutoff values for modified waist circumference and specific body mass index in Asian populations may aid in early detection. So the take home message of the today's lecture includes that a metabolic syndrome can be defined as the combination of diabetes, high blood pressure, and obesity. Active efforts must be made to prevent and control obesity and metabolic syndrome if we want to help improve individuals their health. In the last, we have seen the prevalence of metabolic syndrome and its associated factors in Pakistan. So this ends our today's lecture over here. If you have any questions, you can get back to me through the interactive session. Please go through the video again. If you have any questions to ask, you can ask me. This ends our today's lecture over here. Allah Hafiz. See you in the interactive session. Allah Hafiz.